Hello, everybody. This is Noah and John, and we are from Urban Digs. And today we are talking Manhattan, John. And we got Powerhouse one today. We got Nick Gavin from Compass with us. Nick is, if my math is correct, 18 years in the business. The guy started out right during the great financial crisis or right before. Talk about an environment to start your business. And he has done some incredible things. He is doing some record number sales. I mean, it's mind blowing to see the listings this guy has and the sales he has. And we got him, John, for the next
Yeah,
15 to 20 minutes. Nobody else has him. We have
that's true. Looking forward to it.
him. So Nick,
Thank you guys. Happy to be here.
yeah, thank you for sharing our time, your time with us. And I'm not going to waste it. I'm just going to go right into it. Nick, please tell us a little bit about yourself and tell us what is going on in the state of the New York City markets today.
Well, again, happy to be here, guys. Thanks for the time. Big fan of the show. Very helpful to a lot of people that in my business and on my team. We always kind of talk about it. So a little bit about me. I mean, like you said, I've been in the business for feels like a long time. Kind of started 2007, eight into Great Recession, and so kind of work ethic is there in terms of it's not just you list a property and it sells in a day. So it's been a long journey. And state of the market, just to jump right in, I think, as you guys know, there's so many little sub markets out there and price points and what's happening above 10, what's happening between 5 and 10, co-ops versus condo. I think the main thing, which is not really a change, we always kind of hear this, but folks are really afraid of getting into projects right now. I think in terms of renovations, buyers that, they're looking at townhouses or apartments that need work, those things are just taking longer. And there's a great sensitivity to, for the buyer's perspective, how much is it going to cost me to do this? And so you can't really, calculate your expenses if you don't know if they're shifting around. So, I think it feels like new development. People have been like grabbing the new good product that's coming to market downtown. Obviously, you guys know about 80 Clarkson and some buildings that are doing well. And we had a great pause right when tariff stuff kicked in, and I actually feel like there's a little bit of movement, away from that. Like people are getting not comfortable, but it feels like activity is really picked up. People are just similar with rates. You kind of get used to rates being high and say, okay, I need to get on with my life and make a move. So we've been actually quite busy the past couple of weeks. So yeah, I mean, interesting times. There's, either properties come to market and they sell right away, or it's a duration of time. That's kind of so I think when you get into pricing with clients, you want to try to hit it early. And if you just start too high, you're going to chase the market down right now. I don't know what you guys are seeing, if that's trending with your data.
No, totally. I think this is
Yeah.
actually a really fascinating topic because you brought up the idea of micro markets, and you can certainly slice it geographically. You can slice it by property type. You can also slice it by price point. But even if you take the over 10 million market, even that has different strata. And when I look at your listings, I mean, Nick, you've got some monster listings. I know Noah happens to have his eye on, I think, a
I got
Floyd
my
Mercer.
favorite.
I think he likes that one. Myself, I'll settle for the 25 Bond Street one, but what
Yeah.
can I say? But I'm curious, like when you get, I mean, one is I think 14 million, one's closer to 40. When you get to
Yeah.
that price point, when you're up there, how do you handle that pricing, especially, given the fact that at this level, everyone wants something that's really unique that they may or may not have to do work in, but they'll probably price that in.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it's the buyer pool just shrinks. And I'm wondering, how do you work with such memorable properties at these price points?
The buyer pool shrinks, but that buyer pool is very capable of doing what they want. They're not restricted in terms of what they're buying. Like they can transact if they want to. So I'll tell you, post election, we had a little bit of a bump, right? Like there was a short, I don't know if it was 30, 60-day bump. And so obviously you can see 25 bond, which is in contract, was asking 40 million. I did another really large sale at 56 Leonard, which didn't no one really knew about, but I sold it for 35.5 million in December, off market deal which I was actually gonna list that property. So it was a full floor at 56 Leonard. I was gonna list it for rent at 100,000 a month, and two people came in and said, "Okay, I'll take it at 100, no problem." And there's stories about the rental market really heating up, but this was even before that. So in December, two people came in, said, "I'll take it for 100." We went back and forth, went up to 120, 125, and someone just said, "You know what? I like the place. I'll just buy it." And so, I think at that time there was a very tight supply of, you want a 30 to $40 million apartment downtown, penthouse. There weren't that many things to really choose from, and so that's why you see, 56 Leonard traded at 35, 25 bond asking 40 million. It's actually closing today. It's going to be the biggest sale ever in NoHo. So there is kind of a limited supply of the good stuff. So it's not like it sells itself,
Right.
but similar to when I sold 443 Greenwich penthouse for $50 million years ago, there were like four things to buy. It's like, if you're in that level and you want to be downtown, what can you choose from? So that kind of helps us in a way, different than 57th Street as an example. Yeah.
Yeah. Is it fair to say, though, that at that price level, price is almost a secondary concern? It's much more about, hey, listen, this is what I want. If the price is 30 million, 35, 40,
it's convenient. It's convenience. Yeah. I mean, I think obviously no one just, throws away $40 million, but it is timing and convenience of like, hey, I don't want to get into a 4-year renovation. I want to do this now. So it's, what's available and does it match up with what they're looking for? So yeah, you're right. It's at that level, it's not necessarily about price. I think when you're at $10 million or $15 million, more so about price. But you get into this 30, 40, 50 range, it's a different level.
Yeah.
This is fascinating.
The
we don't really
market is a totally
super luxury market at this point. We're talking. Nick, what are you seeing in foreign investors? Are you seeing any return in that type of buyer?
We were very, obviously you look at currency and you expect to have, Europeans back. I'm not seeing great foreign activity. We're talking about super luxury here, but my team of 6 people, we have listings between 2 million and 40 million right now. And so if you're showing a lot of 5, 6, 7, $8 million properties, I'm seeing like less than 10%. I mean, very few international on my stuff.
Isn't it fascinating to see our market not operating at full capacity right now and still doing what it's doing? Like, all right, we're pumping out record rents. I feel like we can be pumping out record sales prices in the next month or two.
Yeah.
And we do not have the investor market online. We do not have the development market online. Just imagine if those two things change in the future.
Yeah. I mean, I just think, you walk around New York City right now. I spend a lot of time in the West Village and Soho, Tribeca. It is just booming. And so people it's like, don't count out New York City. I don't think you can do it. And so same thing as like, how quick was the snapback on COVID? I mean, it was a quick,
it was impressive considering.
Yeah.
We just interviewed Noam Newman, who had a investment thesis for New York City, and the main investment thesis is that the rental market is just doing bonkers thing, and there's no development, and that is ultimately going to just go parabolic, and it's going to bleed into the sales market in about 1 or 2 years. He puts us at 2011, 2012-ish kind of a range, right before that 13, 14, 15 run up. So it's
interesting.
The setup is there, the mix of ingredients.
So you're saying that rental market just gets too expensive and people say, I don't want to do this. I'm shifting, I'm buying.
That's how it plays out. So if we're in the second inning of it, that's how the 9th inning is going to end in maybe a year and a half or so. It's just started, and we haven't gotten there yet. But when we do get there, there'll be fatigue and there'll be a shift from the rental to the sales market. And again, the thesis is just interesting. So,
well, I mean, I think you talk about 56 Leonard, which I just told you the story. A couple of people renting, I'll do this at 100, I'll push here. And then it's like, at a certain level, I might as well just be buying, and just do it. So that makes complete sense. The rental market is really strong. We don't really run around with so many tenants, but I do hear stories of people showing up to apartments and there's 10 people and they all want it. So that's a frustrating place to be in New York City.
Yeah, I'm hearing similar. Nick, all right, I'm gonna flat out ask you this question. I'm curious to see how you answer it. How do you win these listings? Like, is it just how do you know these people? Like, what?
Yeah,
How did you
yeah.
develop these relationships, and how did you get them to sign that contract? I mean, it's just it's a feat. You keep doing it over and over and over again. That a lot of us agents are trying to.
Yeah. I think, I like to say like long-standing real relationships. I think that brokers get into the business and they look for this quick hit of tapping their network and really like pushing. And I think patience is required. And so my background, I'm from New York City. I grew up downtown. I was in hospitality. I worked for Andre Balaz and a couple other great restaurant and hotel owners over the years, nightlife people. And I just didn't push my network too early. I really did my work
Hmm.
and kind of let my work speak for itself and versus like, oh, I'm in the business, like you should hire me. It's more like, hey, you can see what we're actually doing. Like look at the numbers, look at the listings, and then someone has confidence to just say, okay, well, you've sold these X things, you're clearly the guy, and so how do I do it? I mean, I think a lot of hard work, a lot of consistency, great team. I have a small crew of people that work with me who I trust. I think they're sharper agents than I am. And so it's really experience and then confidence to have, difficult conversations with clients. We are in a challenging, certain segments, very challenging to sell some stuff. And so to be able to have a continued conversation with the seller and explain what is going on, because it's like we're the boots on the ground. So it's like, Nick, what is happening out there? And so to be able to articulate that and give a seller confidence, okay, this is what's going on. I can sleep at night. I think that's probably how we win.
Yeah, I'm so glad you brought up the confidence angle because I think
Yeah.
it's one of the key things that we've seen that really helps agents jump from just sort of, holding it all together to really making that next level. But I have to ask, because I mean, you have some really high profile clients and you do an amazing job sort of maintaining discretion as well as enhancing your own team's visibility. It's a really fine line you walk, but
Yeah.
it's a difficult conversation to have with clients in general. And I'm wondering, how does it work when your client is sort of a celebrity, for lack of a better word? Does that add to the pressure? And if so, is that something you can teach yourself, or is that you think that's just sort of like you just have to have it?
Yeah, I mean, it's funny. There's a select number of agents in New York who tend to work with some, high profile entertainment people. I'm one of them. And some of the other agents, they kind of know the business managers. That's how they get connected to the clients. And that's not really how I get connected to the clients. I'm actually, friends with, or, very close friend of a friend. Again, it's back to this kind of long-standing relationship. So, if you get an introduction from a trusted source, like a very good person, the process becomes a little bit easier because it's like, oh, Nick Gavin, I've worked with him for years. He sold this for me. Oh, you should talk to him, and then the relationship starts in a better place versus a client who's interviewing five brokers they don't really know.
Yeah.
It's just a
Yeah.
different thing, right? So yeah,
I love how you build trust and
yeah,
build the relationship first and then sell it later on. Let the sale come organically and naturally. And that's again, you're
yeah,
right. A lot of agents are just selling, right? They're just cold calling and selling and sending reports
yeah,
and use me, use me, use me. And they
yeah.
didn't really build that relationship first.
Yeah,
It's a different strategy and look, I mean it's working for you. So
it's working. I mean, we don't do any, like, I don't, my net. I'm kind of known for my network a little bit in New York. It's deep, but I don't like mail my network. I don't email my net. I don't do mass emails to my list of clients for the past 17 years. I've never done it.
so you don't send featured listings, you don't send newsletters, you don't send
No,
any market updates, you don't put anything social media? No.
no. I post when I sell something or when I'm listing something interesting. I'm posting it on Instagram, but I'm not in my client's inbox sending them all the stuff that I'm doing every day because
So what are you doing for marketing?
Yeah.
Are you doing events? Are you doing other kind of things
no,
or
I
nothing?
think that no, I think that I'm very in tune with my individual clients, and it's not like, oh, I'm marketing. And it's like, I'm just in touch with my people. I'm connected with my people. I'm communicating with them. I'm texting with them. Just in dialogue with them. And so you're staying top of mind, but to send a mass email to 20,000 people who are your ex-clients and friends with everything you're selling, it's a little bit annoying. I mean, how many emails do you guys get a day?
I mean,
It's
I don't even count anymore.
I'm not gonna be part of annoying my clients. I'm not doing that.
love this.
Yeah.
It's so simplistic and so elegant and graceful and beautiful what you just said right there, and not a lot of agents are doing it.
Yeah.
That we all know it's a referral business.
Yeah.
And instead of mass emailing everyone, you're just personally solidifying each individual relationship one by one, and the chances of that one person telling other people go up dramatically with that approach.
You only need, if you think about it, if you have like 10 friends, clients that have big networks and they're referring you, how big is that network? It's massive. So I think you're right. It's a slow burn, right? You can't just like bang away too hard at people, and I think your actions need to speak louder than a mailer. There's several agents in New York who I have so much respect for, who have a very good mailing business. I think that's incredible, but you have to be so consistent with that, and it's just not my model. My model is more personable, is more dialogue, more personable thing. Yeah.
Love it. Nick, could you just tell me your team? You said you got a team of 5 or 6. Could you tell me the roles that your team? What do you have? Is it 4 agents, 5 agents, or you have different?
Yeah. So I've got 2 people that are in my office, kind of at the desk all day. So kind of chief of staff, kind of director of operations person. I have a head of marketing who helps us with everything we do put out there in terms of our e-blast, our ads, digital stuff we do. And then I've got 3 agents on the team. And so it's really me and 3 agents, and then there's staff. So we're small, and I really like that. I'm kind of turning down probably 2 to 5 people per week. Our agents are
trying to join your team.
Probably 2 to 5 per week.
Wow.
And actually some big agents, and people that have been very successful. So it's not like just beginners, it's people that are understanding and seeing what you're seeing, Noah, of just the consistency of the work that my team has done for a long time.
Yeah. This is really fascinating, Nick. And I usually like to end with advice, and I'm going to get to that in a second, but I just want to preface it with the idea that, I mean, you grew up in the city. So not only have you watched a lot of the evolution in real estate, just from sort of a pedestrian perspective, living downtown and watching the buildings go up and watching the traffic and the tourists and the people live and interact in the city. But now you're a professional and you've watched that happen. And I'm curious, what is the one thing or a couple things you would have liked to know about the real estate industry in this specific sector right when you had started in 2007, 2008, aside from the fact that it'll probably get better after this massive recession we have coming? But
I mean, I was very realistic with how difficult this business is. I used to say like, oh, if I have 10 leads, maybe I'll get 2 of them. Maybe 2 out of 10 will happen. And I remember some older agents saying, oh, that ratio is really bad. Like that's too much failure. And I guess I have a lot of, I have inbound lead stuff that is just coming to me, nonstop. And so, no, I don't know. What would I have known or would have liked to known? It's a hard one. I think there is a lot of disappointment in the business. And I think something that's very helpful for us as agents is our communication with other agents, and having really good relationships, which takes time to start, and you get into the business and you're trying to do your deals, and maybe you don't make time and for other people in your business. And I think it's been very helpful for me to win in competitive bids. When I have a buyer, just to have a good reputation in the business. And so I've worked hard. I've worked hard to do that. But I think that there's some agents who come in and they're just thinking about the deal. They're not taking a longer term view. I don't know if that answers your question a little bit.
No, it does.
Yeah.
But we hear this consistently. We have top agents on this show consistently saying the exact same thing.
Yeah.
They all refer back to the community, and you gotta
Yeah.
get in to get intel for your clients to get a deal. You
Yeah.
got a competitive bidding situation to have an edge. You have
Yeah.
to be on a good level with that agent,
Yeah.
and if
Yeah.
you're bad level, it's not going to help anything.
Yeah, I think
It's
the transfer of data, the transfer of information between agents, I often like clients send me stuff like, oh, the journal, Wall Street Journal, as an example, this weekend wrote about a sale of mine. My name wasn't in the article, but it was a big sale that happened in the West Village. I've been working on it for a year. I never told anyone about it. So the journal found out and they wrote about it. And so people send me articles from the Times or the Journal, Bloomberg, and I say, yeah, the agents have this information well before the reporters are coming to us to kind of understand what's going on. So yes, it's helpful to read a broad, article about real estate in the New York Times. But again, we're going back to like micro neighborhoods, micro markets, and
yeah.
I always say like I do have a home court advantage. I grew up on West Broadway and Houston Street. I know the little difference between living on Mercer or Green or Worcester that you would just only know if you've been paying such a close attention for so many years. So that's how you separate yourself. It's like anyone can like show up to a building and here's the beeline, but just to have some real insight about what, the building, the neighborhood, the apartment material. I mean, I think the consistency with my listings, they are kind of design driven special apartments. We don't really sell too many generic things. I'm sitting in a townhouse that I'm selling, which has like a green kitchen. It's been published around the world. It's not for everyone, but it's a special offering. Yeah.
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 I,
At
I
the end
love
of
it.
the day,
Yeah.
yep.
I just want to
Go ahead,
say, I
John.
mean, it's what's really interesting is we need to Noah's point, we have a lot of top agents on the show, and
Yeah.
the practice of real estate itself is completely varied, and some people have different focuses. I mean, to your point, you're really focused on the individual client themselves and growing that community. Some are focused on mailers, some are focused on just marketing and social. It's all comes back though to confidence and that community aspect, which I think is so often overlooked, about sharing the information between ourselves and keeping that dialogue open and professional and respectful. And I think a lot of people, when they first come into this industry, are really focused on the deal and making the deal
Yeah.
and maximizing the deal, and they sort of neglect the overall brokerage community. So I'm really glad you brought that up, because I think that's a core pillar of who we are in the New York City agent community.
Yeah, it's a hard, if you don't have a lot of business and you're relying on one or two deals, it is tough, but so I feel very lucky and very
Yeah.
fortunate to be able to, I don't need the deal or want the deal more than my clients. It's like they've got to tell me, hey, I want to do this deal. And then I will help them execute and transact. That's
Yeah.
just that's just not me telling them, you have to do this. That's not, it's not my push.
And
Yeah. And
I got one more micro market question
Yeah.
for you. I'm just curious if you saw any kind of demand dip when Pepe Rosso moved across Houston Street.
It's so funny because I grew up, I think Pepe Rosso is probably 20 years old. And so I would go to Pepe Rosso when I was like 17 years old or something, and so that's I we sold our loft in kind of Soho Chinatown a year or two ago, and we bought a townhouse on Sullivan Street, part of the McDougal Sullivan
Mhm.
Gardens. And so I think about where we live, and this is back to like really knowing a neighborhood and knowing your market and the inventory. I think about our little Greenwich Village, Sullivan Street, Thompson Street, McDougal Street, down into Soho, of how great a neighborhood it is, because everything you need is right
Yeah.
there. And that's what I think about New York City versus some other places. You don't need to get into a car. If you live in the right place in New York, you should have everything in a 5-10 block radius. And that is a healthy thing. It's a community thing. So I love New York. I'm bullish on it. When everyone was going to Miami and Palm Beach when COVID started, I doubled down and bought a much larger apartment in New York. I did that for myself and for my family, but I also did it to show my clients, hey, this is what like a serious pro is doing. Like I bought in scary COVID time. I bought a big apartment.
That's when you buy, when the blood's on the
Yes.
streets.
Yes. And so I did it for myself again, Noah, but I wanted my clients because everyone's paying attention, like, oh, what are you up to as a real estate professional? And so it was a big thing to show that I'm committed to New York. I'm not going anywhere. And I felt like it was a good investment, which it was, because I sold my apartment 2 years later and made a lot of money,
I love the
That was a
contrarian
scary,
play. I
that
mean,
was a scary time.
It
Yeah.
was a scary time.
John and I are traders, and respect, my man, respect for the
Sure.
contrarian, buy low, blood is on the streets play.
Yeah.
And I am bullish on New York City too. We have been asleep for a decade,
Yeah.
and I feel like the ingredients are coming together for a push
Yeah.
higher, a
Yeah.
cycle up. So I mean, I don't know if it's going to come out and play out. I mean, I hope in 2 years from now I don't look bad saying these kind of calls, but I mean,
Yeah.
it looks like it's might have
Yeah.
waken up in another year or two.
Yeah.
The city is dead. Long live the city.
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
This has been great. This has been great.
Yeah.
Great morning breakfast for my brain. Thank you so much, Nick, for joining us. I really appreciate your time. That is Nick Gavin over at Compass. Give him an email, say hello, make a relationship. You never know. Maybe you'll do a deal with him one day, and that'll be a great deal to do. Trust me, considering where this guy does business. So thank you, Nick. Thank you, John.
Thank you,
Welcome.
guys. Yeah.
I am Noah
Thank you so
Rosenblatt.
much.
This has been Talking Manhattan, and we'll catch you next time.
Thank you, guys.
Awesome.